gentlemen and female gentlemen, oppressed orcs of all ages, welcome, one and all, to Rings of Power Season 2. We've all been waiting for this moment. It's exciting and all. I have recently done a lore dive on Lord of the Rings. As you know, I'm doing lore dives on everything. I am consuming all of the lore. And Rings of Power Season 2 is going on right now, and people are not happy. So I did not yet watch the Critical Drinkers video on it, and I know he's gonna tear out a new one. He's a big Lord of the Rings fan. I did, however, start Moist Criticals, and this is how he starts it.
If it looks like I'm half awake right now, it's because I am. Rings of Power Season 2 just came out, and I watched all 3 episodes back to back to back. And I can say with confidence, it is probably the most boring show I've ever forced myself to watch through.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to get right into the Critical Drinkers version of this to see exactly what is going on, why people hate it so much, why this is all so fucking cringe. I am a little bit scared because I love Lord of the Rings. Oh god, let's see why everyone's so upset.
Oh, Amazon, why do you hate us so? I mean, I know people often make jokes about movie reviewers like myself having to suffer through bad content so that they don't have to, but Rings of Power Season 2...
What's the joke? That's literally what the job of movie reviewers are. It's like, oh, I hate critics for criticizing movies. That is literally what the point of critics are.
2 is one of the rare cases where I actually began to feel it. To put this into some kind of perspective, I once climbed the highest mountain in the UK on a boiling hot day with an absolutely stinking hangover every step of the way, and that experience was less of a slog than getting through 3 episodes of this show in time for open bar.
Oh my fucking god, is it really that bad? Like, how? They spent $1 billion on this show, right? It's one of the biggest IPs in the world. Lord of the Rings. Like, how can you possibly fail at doing this with $1 billion? Oh god, am I making a big error?
It was,
Should I not even look into this at all?
to put it bluntly, one of the most miserable and depressingly tedious media experiences of my entire career that somehow found new and creative ways to defecate on Tolkien's legacy.
Are they replaying the same ring falling down the steps shit as in Lord of the Rings?
And prove once
Oh
again
my
that
God.
modern culture is an absolute blight on humanity.
Dude, honestly, it is wild. Like, isn't there a famous Tolkien line? I think I saw a comment like this. Tolkien was right about evil being incapable of creating new things, only corrupt the good ones into twisted caricatures. It's wild to me because that is literally so fucking accurate. It's so accurate.
From the cringe-inducing dialogue straining for grandiose pomposity and peppered with so many tortured metaphors that the writer should be arrested for crimes against literature,
Oh,
to the
God.
idiotic character choices and a ridiculously convoluted plot held together by so many conveniences and shortcuts that it makes J.J. Abrams look like Christopher Nolan, to the overwrought
No.
performances by a cast of effeminate Gen Z pussies that ticks almost every diversity box except
What is
acting
going
ability,
on?
to the ham-fisted...
Is it really this bad? He's not stopping. He's literally just spoken for the last 60 seconds, just shitting on it.
direction and oversaturated cinematography that's so dark you literally can't see what the fuck is even going on half the time.
Is this a real scene? This miasmic darkness?
It all adds up to $1 billion slab of arse cancer that shames the legacy of Lord of
Why does the Ent look worse than the Ent in, like, the original Lord of the Rings that was made 20 years ago?
the Rings and makes a complete mockery out of everything that Tolkien stood for. Put another way, the Rings of Power
What the fuck?
complete mockery out of everything that Tolkien stood for. Put another way, the Rings...
There's a Balrog in Rings of Power? Balrog were these wizard monsters from the Mayan, or whatever they were called, angel that came down to humanity. And after Morgoth was defeated, they sealed them away into the earth. The first Balrog they saw since the Second Age was supposed to be the one in the Mines of Moria that killed Gandalf, right? Listen, I just started my lore dive here. But even I know this dunderfuck shouldn't be in the story. This is atrocious.
Rings of Power Season 2 fucking sucks.
Oh,
Now, I'm gonna do my best to summarize whatever passes for a plot here, but in the interests of my own sanity, I'm gonna speedrun this shit,
Alright,
because
let's
the
go.
less time I have to spend talking about Rings of Power, the better. Anyway, allow me to give you the meat and give it to you raw. The show gets off to the worst possible start by devoting a good 20 minutes to an extended flashback sequence explaining how Sauron got betrayed by his own lieutenant.
Wait, what? 20 minutes of how Sauron got betrayed by his lieutenant? I thought Sauron was supposed to be this genius, charismatic figure. This legendary figure that was a fucking master of all darkness. Are they really undercutting him as a character so much that a random orc fucking betrayed him? Listen, I didn't do the full Sauron lore dive yet. I only did the timeline lore dive. But what the shit? Sauron's not a normie. Sauron, when actual fucking Satan, Morgoth, was defeated, Sauron was like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. That is the most gangster shit in the universe. And they made him this dude, this pussy over here that gets betrayed by an orc.
And eventually got reborn as Halbrand before running into Galadriel.
Not a great plan.
Why are you wasting all this time by telling us stuff that we already know? Do you guys even understand what storytelling is? Or is this whole thing just an amusing little side project for you? Also, I love the idea that Sauron, a godlike being of unimaginable power and influence, commanding armies numbering in the hundreds of thousands by the sheer force of his will, is reduced to this dork in a shitty wig trying
to crazy. You're right. You're right.
Argue with a couple of dozen orcs in a cave.
And the dozen orcs in the cave were like, no, bro, we don't like you anymore. We revolt, we rebel. And he's like, I have to go. Way to tear down a legendary character. Oh my god.
Somewhere. For a show that cost $1 billion, Rings of Power somehow manages to make everything that should be grand and epic feel small and cheap. I mean, do you really think an entity as powerful as Sauron would need to argue his case to get orcs to follow him? Anyway,
aren't orcs literally created as like fucking monsters, like despicable, war-hungry monsters? Isn't that what orcs are? I'm so confused.
Decide that they
like, we literally see it in the movie. In the actual movie, they're literally birthing them out of these fucking pods in the ground as like twisted elf monsters. They're monsters.
Don't like him anymore, so they stab him to death.
They stab Sauron Sauron, the fucking Lord of Evil, the lieutenant of the devil. That guy gets stabbed, shanked by a couple of orcs.
But then his blood turns into a flumpy black goo monster.
No fucking way. No. He survives because after he gets stabbed to death, his blood becomes a flumpy goo monster. I am literally history's lamest eldritch creature. A ball of sludge, a Scooby-Doo villain.
That eventually climbs out of the mountain and rolls down the side like a...
What the fuck is this? This looks like a turd sliding down a mountain.
Turd?
Not pre-watched, shut up.
Until it gets stuck in the wheels of someone's wagon before it eats them.
Wait, it gets stuck on his wagon? No.
Side like a turd until it gets stuck
look at the flumpy
in the wheels of someone's wagon before it eats...
Along for the ride! Oh my fucking god. This is sad. This is Sauron, Lord of Evil. Holy shit.
Eats them. This is real. This is stuff which actually happens in this show. Honestly, I could probably spend an hour breaking down this opening scene alone because...
Bro, the Sauron poop arc was not what anyone expected when they said they put $1 billion into Rings of Power.
Because it perfectly encapsulates how the writers completely
The writers are also a piece of shit, just like how Sauron became.
Understand almost every aspect of what Sauron is. But let's just keep moving for God's sake. So eventually...
Be like the turd and slide down the mountain. The Lord of Evil, also known as the steaming pile of feces, sliding into a wagon.
We get back to the present day where Sauron allows himself to get captured in Mordor and brought before Adar, who for some reason doesn't recognize him or sense his power.
Oh my fucking god, dude. Sauron gets captured by orcs after getting reincarnated.
And manages to convince the guy to release him by using the following gambits. Sauron is alive again, and I know you want him dead, even though I totally shouldn't know that because you betrayed him hundreds of years before I should have been born, but don't think about that too much. And I don't actually know where he is or what he looks like now, but the important thing is that he's totally not me, and if you let me go, then I can go to the elves and maybe find out where he is and then report back to you so that you can march your not particularly strong armies halfway across Middle-earth to the most heavily defended stronghold in the entire world and possibly take him out.
And the orc guy is like, yes, that is a fantastic idea.
And I'll totally do all of that and not just disappear and never come back. Trust me, bro. And the amazing thing is, it actually works.
Oh my fucking god, this is actually insane. I feel like I'm watching a aneurysm formulate in the inside of my cornea. What the shit is going on? The orc guy kills Sauron because fuck Sauron, I don't like him. He may be the Lord of Darkness, but I am an orc. So he kills Sauron. Sauron dies, reincarnates or reforms or whatever into this other guy, gets captured, gets brought before the orc guy, says to the orc guy, Sauron is back. Not that I should know about that. I'll go kill him for you. Don't worry, guys. I'll get info from the elves. So you just let me go and I'll do that. And the orc guy's like, fantastic plan. And if you do find Sauron in the elf land, we will send our 14 orcs to destroy him. 9,000 IQ plan. Huge brain.
So he teleports over to Celebrimbor and says that it's ringing time, buddy. And even though...
Why did he do all this? Why go back to the orcs then? And he needs to hit him with these gambits? This is Sauron, one of the craziest villains of all time. One of the truly most legendary pinnacles of villainy ever written. I can't believe this.
Celebrimbor has been specifically warned never to deal with him again. Sauron transforms into a fire demon angel thing and he's like, don't worry man, I've been sent from heaven to help you out. Trust me bro. So Celebrimbor's like, sure, okay.
Oh my god, stop it please. Master manipulator Sauron. And he's fucking convincing people with like these shit tactics.
Okay, I'm convinced. Meanwhile, Elrond steals the 3 elven rings that have already been made and decides to destroy them because they might be influenced by Sauron, but fucking Doughboy here wants them anyway because he already wears more finger jewelry than your average gypsy taxi driver. So Elrond throws himself off a waterfall and magically survives so that the rest of the plot can happen. But then they catch him anyway and use the rings to bring the elf trees back to life or something. Then there's Gandalf and the not hobbits who are wandering through the fucking desert looking for stars or something. None of them seem to know or care why they're in this show anyway, and frankly neither do I. But I did kind of laugh when—
What were they doing there? Like what is the quest? What is the journey? Sauron's dead. Like what's the point of anything?
we get introduced to this doofus played by Kieran Hines. Literally, this was your one chance to introduce a racially diverse character and have it actually make sense in universe, and you chose possibly the whitest actor in the entire fucking industry to play him.
Now, in the Middle Eastern country, with all the white people, yes, we got Rasputin to play this dude.
With your brains, like, do they just not operate like regular brains or what? Also, it's nice to see the real Grim Shady make a comeback because those guys totally weren't a laughingstock from the first season. Oh yeah, and Isildur is alive again because why?
What? Didn't Isildur die because he had the ring? They killed him. He dead.
Oh, it turns out that baiting the death of a major character that we know can't die yet wasn't the best way of sustaining dramatic tension.
This is so sad and pathetic.
Neither was bringing back Don Lemonlass, who was a pointless character even in season 1 and hasn't changed much here. It did make me laugh though when they had to explain away the death of Bronwyn, even though she was totally alive and well at the end of season 1. Yeah, those orc arrows just take a while to kill you, I guess.
The character died off screen and they blamed it on the orc arrows that are slow affecting arrows. What is even happening? What am I even doing here? Like, what are they fucking cooking? They're not cooking. Who let them in the kitchen? They should not be here. It is a disrespect to Tolkien and to art. God, I miss the Acolyte. At least I already knew Star Wars went to shit.
Don't think about it too much. There's also a tedious storyline in Moria where the dwarves are running out of food, but they can't do anything about it until Durin and his father reconcile, but they won't because they're basically idiotic children now, I guess. Nice. And lastly, there's a growing power struggle in downtown Numenor where discount Karl
Hey, Numenor, I know where that is because they did the lore dive. It's the island off the coast of the fucking Middle Earth on the west, yeah.
Marx is trying to stage a coup against diverse female queen, and he's so smart about it that he literally talks openly about overthrowing her in the middle of a crowded tavern.
Don't you love when people do that? Like the tedious overhearing. Whenever I hear people talking about some evil plan in any show or movie, and they're just doing it out loud in public, it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. Every time, and they keep doing it.
Truly, it's the last thing they'd be expecting. You know, one of the big questions going into season 2 was, would they have learned any lessons from the nuclear level backlash they took in season 1?
At least Acolyte got cancelled after a season. The fact that this is still going is crazy. The people writing this are keep talking about repressed groups and how people aren't treated well and all that. And at the same time, they have never been met with a single ounce of struggle in anything in their life. They had a resistance-free life, nepotisming their way into this seat. There is no way anyone should have a position to write a story this bad. Anyone this talentless should not be here. I'm like, I can't believe it. At least read the books.
Do you think we should hire better writers, better directors, and better lore experts? Should we tone down the girl bossies and the weird Sauron-Galadriel romance angle and the forced diversity and the clumsy political allegories? Nah, it'll be fine. Everything that was bad in season 1 is somehow even worse here. There's all the usual tropes like the girl bossies who fight and strategize right alongside the men as if that's normal procedure, the modern metropolitan cosmopolitan diversity projected hilariously onto Northern European medieval cultures that totally don't support it, but bizarrely absent from the Middle Eastern cultures where it
That is weird. That is really, really weird, to be honest.
would actually make sense. The cheap looking sets and the actors who look like they're allergic to testosterone, but that's just what we expect from modern Hollywoods. The dialogue is so clumsy and long-winded and pompous, so blatantly trying to replicate the epic tone of the books that it actually had me gritting my teeth. Even Ian McKellen couldn't make verbal diarrhea like this sound good, and no offense to the actors, but they ain't exactly on Ian McKellen's level. In fact, no, fuck it, all offense to them because they suck at their jobs. It's like 2 years to up their game.
He's just cooking. He's just cooking them. Oh my god, dude.
And if anything, they come across as even worse than before. Characters range from idiotic to the point of actual medical retardation to making such insane leaps of logical deduction that it can only ever be in service of the plot. Writing sophisticated characters like elves is always going to be a challenge because each of them has got thousands of years of wisdom and experience to convey. Well, this show is proof that a character is only ever as smart as their writer, and that ain't much. Then there's the morality.
I feel like they knew that the IP was big, so they just felt like they didn't need to work on it at all. They just need to make generic, fucking, basic, modernized political statements and generic-ass storylines, and felt like they could just get away with it. They'll be like, oh, we'll just make a Sauron-Galadriel romance. People on TikTok will love that.
Question. Season 1 had only a tenuous understanding of the morality of Tolkien's world, and that understanding seems to have completely vanished here. The show seems to want us to empathize with the orcs for some reason.
People told me about that. I thought they were joking. I thought they were kidding. There's actually this whole fucking orc empathy storyline. Orcs are not victims, okay? They're fucking monsters.
Like there's some misunderstood oppressed minority or
you're joking. Like, you're kidding me. How can you retcon the world that was painstakingly built by somebody like this?
Something. There's literally a scene where an orc begs his commander not to send him off to war before hovering protectively over his orc wife and baby.
Orc wife? I thought there were no female orcs. Listen, I did not complete the Lord of the Rings lore dive. As you know, I, Lord Nuxanor, will consume all lore. I'm working on it, okay? But orcs are spawned. I thought there are no female orcs. Unless it's gay orcs and their baby. Not that I know how they have a baby. Like, I'm just confused.
That is horrific.
That is horrific. These aren't orcs, they're journalists.
You still would though, wouldn't you?
Okay, stop it. Don't you even say that, alright? Don't even say that. I'm getting Hell of a Boss flashbacks. I'm getting fucking monster fucker Barnes & Noble's flashbacks.
I mean, do you not understand?
Bro, you see all the orcs talking about how they love their orc babies? And it's like, yes, orc father, please let me remain an orc baby and protect my orc wife and child. Yes, my orc friend, you definitely should be doing exactly that.
And the orcs are not individuals in the sense that humans are. They're a force of nature. They're a blunt instrument to be wielded by evil. They don't care if they charge into battle and get slaughtered by the hundreds. They exist only for war. In the Two Towers, they...
No, he's right. He's right. He's spitting. That's it. Orcs are not people. They're fucking monsters. Blunt instruments wielded by evil, literally.
They get spawned into existence, have a helmet slapped onto their head and a sword thrust into their hand, and their first question is literally, what do you want me to kill and destroy? They don't have private lives and you can't make me empathize with them. They are monsters.
Real.
At this point, Tolkien must be spinning in his grave so fast that you could hook him up to a dynamo and power the entire national grid with him.
Dude, can you imagine Tolkien? Because Tolkien was super critical of every other fantasy work that was ever made in his time. Like, every time someone else made another fantasy work, he was like super critical of that shit. Like, he hated Dune for whatever reason. Like, he's very critical. Could you imagine if he would see what they did to his baby? When you're adapting art, you're making it in a way that the artist would fucking crucify himself. Don't you think that you're doing something wrong? Don't you think that it's immoral to pervert art like this?
This show is quite simply an abomination, a ruined, corrupted form of entertainment, twisted and mutilated, lost beyond all hope of redemption.
Nah, you're just saying that because you're a racist bigot, probably.
And if Amazon had any common sense whatsoever, they would cast it into the fire, destroy it before it consumes us all.
Hey, get rid of it. Send it back from whence it came. It's the fucking Amazon slave shop.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today, thank fuck.
Oh god.
Go away now!
It was too much. It was too much. See, here's the thing. I may be upset about the artistic vandalism going on. I may be sitting here a little annoyed that what they did, perverting such a wonderful series and brilliant franchise into this fucking bargain basement pile of shit where every time someone criticizes it, they're being branded as some kind of racist for hating it. Even though Moist Critical, not a racist, says it's boring as balls. Like, this is just kind of everyone's opinion because it's bad. I don't know what it is about bad modern content that's just, it's so saddening. There is good news. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Sit here with me in the epicenter of chaos, where we laugh at these fucking fuckwits. Fuck up and fuck around with their own fucking material until no one has any respect for them. Eventually, their worlds will crumble, and the next generation will learn from the mistakes of this one. Guys, we are reaching a precipice. We are reaching a point where so much fucking awful piece of shit content is going to catch up to them. So, goddamn subscribe. We're in on this ride. We are on this train, baby. Let's keep cooking. We'll keep making fun of idiots, and hopefully the idiots will stop being stupid. My part in this fight is making fun of idiots. Everyone has a part. My part, making fun of them. All right? This is contributing. This is building. This is contributing something positive to the world. God damn it. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.